Nasir was 3 years old and had never known what colors looked like. Born blind, his world was made of sounds, smells, and touches. The warmth of his mother's arms, the scent of freshly baked cookies, and the gentle lullaby of rain tapping against the roof were the brightest parts of his universe. He was a gentle child, endlessly curious about the world beyond his darkness. But his mother, Rihanna, had grown overprotective, her fear of him getting hurt, making her hold his tiny hand a little too tight whenever they ventured outside. Yet Nasir's laughter could fill a room, his joy unrestrained by his disability. It was one of those crisp autumn days when the air was cool, but the sun was warm. Rihanna had brought Nasir to the neighborhood park, a place that had become familiar through touch and sound. His fingers had traced the roughness of tree bark, the silky petals of flowers, and the cool metal of the swings. "Stay close, Nasir," Rihanna said, her voice edged with anxiety as he wandered a little too far. "Yes, Mama," he replied, giggling as he stomped his feet on the crunchy leaves. The sound was delightful, and he bent down, scooping up leaves to let them scatter in the breeze. Rihanna's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, a call from work that needed her attention. Her eyes darted to Nasir, but he was only a few feet away, laughing as he spun around in circles. "Just 1 minute," she whispered to herself, her fingers trembling as she answered the call. It was a minute too long. Nasir, now emboldened by the joy of spinning, continued to twirl and walk. The sound of leaves crunching beneath his shoes was intoxicating, leading him further and further away from the familiar. But then the crunching stopped. He found himself on unfamiliar terrain. The ground was rough and uneven, the air colder, and the comforting sounds of children playing and laughing had become distant and faint. His heartbeat quickened. "Mama," he called, his voice quivering. "Mama." Silence. Tears welled up in his unseeing eyes, his tiny fist clenched at his sides. His breath came shallow and rapid, his chest tightening with fear. "Help me," Nasir cried, his voice fragile and trembling. "Mama!" The world around him was terrifyingly silent. Then he heard something, a soft whimper, a gentle shuffle of paws. Nasir froze, his tears momentarily forgotten. Something warm and wet nudged his hand. "Who's there?" he asked, his voice cracked but curious. Another nudge, this time more insistent. Nasir reached out tentatively, his fingers meeting coarse fur. It was rough, tangled, but warm, and alive. "A dog?" Nasir whispered. The creature licked his hand as if to say, "I'm here. Don't be afraid." The dog's presence was like a lifeline. Nasir sank to his knees, clinging to the animal's neck as sobs shook his small body. The dog didn't flinch, didn't move. It only stayed by his side, providing a warmth and comfort Nasir so desperately needed. Moments passed, or maybe hours. Nasir couldn't tell. But when his cries had softened to sniffles, the dog nudged him again, this time stepping forward and then back, as if urging him to follow. "Do you want me to come with you?" Nasir asked, his voice thick with tears. The dog barked softly, a sound full of encouragement. Nasir rose to his feet, his hands gripping the dog's fur tightly. Step by careful step, the dog guided him through the unfamiliar terrain. Nasir trusted him. The dog's fur was always there, beneath his fingers, leading him away from danger. When Nasir stumbled, the dog would nuzzle him upright. When he grew frightened, the dog's calm presence soothed him. Eventually, the hum of distant traffic grew louder, and Nasir could hear voices again. Familiar voices. His mother's voice. "Nasir! Nasir! Mama!" Nasir screamed, his grip loosening on the dog as his arms stretched out toward the sound. Then he felt his mother's arms around him, squeezing him so tightly he could barely breathe. But Nasir didn't mind. The embrace was everything he needed. "Oh my God, Nasir! I was so scared! I thought—" Rihanna's voice broke, her tears mingling with her words. "I got lost," Nasir admitted, his voice small. "But the dog helped me." "What dog?" Rihanna asked, her eyes darting around. Nasir's fingers moved to the side, expecting to feel the dog's fur. But there was nothing there. The warmth, the presence, it was all gone. "The dog," Nasir stammered, his hands searching the empty air. "He was here. He helped me." Rihanna held him tighter, her relief turning into confusion. I didn't see any dogs, sweetheart, she said, her voice trembling. You were alone. No, Mama. He was real. Nasir's voice grew desperate. He saved me. Rihana's gaze softened, her hands brushing through his hair. Maybe he was an angel, baby. Nasir frowned, his brows knitting together. But he felt real. Days passed and the experience lingered in Nasir's mind. He spoke often of the dog, his furry protector. Rihana, desperate for answers, posted online, sharing Nasir's story with neighbors and animal shelters. But no one reported a stray dog in the park. But one night, as Nasir was tucked into bed, Rihana noticed something strange. On his wrist, where his small fingers often gripped the dog's fur, was a faint scratch. Not a hurtful mark, but one left by playful paws. Rihana's heart fluttered with disbelief. The next day, she took Nasir back to the park. Nasir's feet crunched over leaves as he held tight to her hand. Do you think we'll find him? He asked. I don't know, honey, Rihana replied gently, but maybe he'll find us. They walked slowly, Nasir's face tilted upward as if feeling the breeze for answers. Then Nasir stopped. Do you hear that, Mama? He asked, his lips curving into a smile. Rihana strained her ears but heard nothing. What is it, Nasir? He beamed, his blind eyes sparkling with an inner light. He's saying hello. Rihana squeezed his hand, tears glistening in her eyes. Maybe it was a dog, maybe it was something more. But whatever it was, it had brought her son back to her, and for that, she would be forever grateful. Like a video and subscribe to my channel, please. Thanks for watching.